So yes, so today I'm joined by the wonderful Jetset. She's amazing in every single way, and I actually got to meet you through Latinx in gaming, and specifically when I was mentioning Dungeons and Dragons, and like a bunch of people tagged you to get into chat, and then like all that. So it was cool to. And I was like, "Yep, we're gonna be friends." So I was like,
Definitely. Yeah. I would say that among the founders, I am the one with the most passionate tabletop appreciation.
"Nice, that's so cool." And then, all right, so let's start off from the beginning. Could you take a moment to introduce yourself and your brand?
Sure. So, my name is Judy Barboza. I am known on the internet as Jetset. And overall, I would say so by day, I work for Red Bull, their marketing team, as a gaming specialist for the New York area. That's where I'm from, New York City. So, but in addition to that, I'm also the head of NYC League of Legends, which is a Facebook group for League of Legends fans in the tri state area. I'm one of the co-founders, proudly, of Latinx in Gaming, which is, as you know, a network for Latinx fans and members of the gaming industry to get together and pursue, the goal of representation in the gaming industry and in games themselves, as well as to, um, develop professionally and break into the gaming industry. Um, I guess so. In addition to that, I'm a freelance voiceover artist. I've done social media management, but primarily, I would say my passion is events, career wise. My passion is games, just games of all kinds.
Yeah. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. That's super cool. So it's one of those amazing things when you like I had heard about you that one, you were already one of the co-founders of like Latinx and gaming and everything, and like and that
Mhm.
was already amazing. But to hear you're part of like, Red Bull Gaming, and then this League of Legends stuff, and then the freelance voiceovers and all this stuff is so amazing. You're just like a jack of all trades, and it's like so cool to see all that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You're very, very kind. I would say that one thing I do I feel like you're the same way because
Uh-huh.
I feel like you're in a bunch of different kinds of projects too, even if they're all like creative and they all kind of have the same direction.
Yeah.
They all kind of wear many different hats as well.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, so could you take a moment to explain kind of like your origin story with whether it be for voiceover work or like how you got in Latinx gaming, whatever you feel is the most prominent, for you that made you who you are today.
Okay. I would say that so as a kid I've always been into games. I mean, it's the same story, especially for I would say Latinx kids,
Hmm.
especially if your parents are first generation. Like I don't know about you, but there was always a very big divide for me growing up. Like I had these kind of even though I moved between these categories seamlessly,
Yeah,
there were always sort of like categories. You know what I mean? This was how I behaved around my family. These were the languages I spoke around my family. These
yeah,
were the languages that, my aunts understood. These were the languages that my cousins understood. Right? And by extension all the media,
yeah,
right? So like my mom would sit with me and we would play like Nintendo games together, right? Like, but she didn't really dive into it. And like, the way my friends in school did,
mhm,
which, I learned English in school. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those situations where I'm growing up and yes, I'm super passionate about games, but I don't really get to express it like as often or in a group setting because I was born an only child and
yeah,
because my mom is Brazilian, right? And my dad is Mexican. So like they didn't have any context, they weren't gamers, So
yeah,
as I grew up, I found that my gaming experience was always around school, around my school friends, neighborhood friends, stuff like that. But like it was always in English. And so as I grew up, and it was always social, right? It was something that I did at home alone and then outside of home, like with friends. So as I grew up, I kept like getting really involved in like setting up nerdy social gatherings, right? So
yeah,
like anything from I founded the anime club in middle school and like in between in free periods I would always go to like our communal spaces and play Nintendo 64 with friends, and I would set
Yeah.
up like competitions. You know what I would set up like small
Dang, event
tournaments like among
organizer and like
friends.
trailblazer.
It
That's
was just,
awesome.
but it was just like innate. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't something that I just said, okay, well, I've decided today I'm going to be an event organizer.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. You know, for me, it was just like I found a lot of joy in setting up social situations and games because I like to hang around my friends and game. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So then that kind of that like kind of developed over time. And meanwhile, I'm going to school, getting my degree, doing my major in business. You know, I went to a liberal arts school. That's why I wanted to be specific. But
Yeah.
cuz like what's a business degree from like a whatever. So, you know, I kept and like I went into IT as my day job, but like
Yeah.
games were always such a core part of my life, you know, and
Hmm.
my socializing that I just I kept doing that stuff on the side. So
Yeah.
in comes NYC League, um, in comes, you know, Latinx and gaming, all these side projects that
Yeah.
I just want, you know, all the cons that we go to, I enforced at. Um, PAX Unplugged, like the first PAX Unplugged,
Yeah.
because I, you know, I was really obsessed with D&D at the time, so I just really wanted to go all in, you know, and it's stuff like that, you know, enforcing at PAXs for years, and you know the drill because you just end up going to all of these
Yeah.
events and like, you know, you make your friends there, you know? So
Yeah.
I would say that that would be my origin story. Just growing up, a kid, a nerd, an only child, just finding every way she can to create social situations around gaming.
Man, that's so cool. And what games would you say had the biggest impact? Was it like Japanese RPGs, or was it tabletop RPGs when it was like younger? Like what hit you so hard that it changed your life essentially?
I actually grew up playing a lot of JRPGs, right?
Yeah.
So like I didn't have too many growing up poor
Hmm.
in the Bronx in New York. I actually became, and when I say growing up, I'm still poor. We're just going to say that. I'm still poor. I'm still in the Bronx. I just want to point that out. But like growing up there means that you like learn to be thankful for what you got. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like I don't know about you, but like me, I never threw temper tantrums after the first time I threw one when I wanted like a game system. And my mom was like,
Hmm.
"Hey, darling, I need you to understand something. I
Yeah.
can't get this for you now, but I will." So like I became really patient.
Yeah.
I do not have, if you look at my, like, I have a bunch of, like, retro stuff from, mom finding it in, like, garage sales, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? I'm sure you have a couple of those, like, ancient consoles, like,
Oh,
in
for
your
sure.
garage or
Yeah.
something, right? I still have my Nintendo, I still have a box load of cartridges just from, like, garage sales or, like,
Yeah.
penny sales or whatever. So, I grew up with those. And then I got an N64, which was one of the most, like, milestone moments of my life, and then I got, a PS1, and then I that was it. And
Yeah.
then from there, I, like, really didn't play too many new games until I made my first computer and then started to get into stuff like that. And League of Legends, I would say, was a big deal or continues to be a big deal for me. It's
Yeah.
probably the game I've played the most in my life. But, when I came back from college and I came back to the city and, I had few friends
Yeah.
that were from here because I didn't go to school in New York and was just getting into work and, like, making work friends, didn't really have too many outlets to play games other than online.
Yeah.
So it's funny, League, I would say, is, like, the iconic game for me in terms of, like, turning my passion into my career in this case, because
Interesting. Okay.
it was through League that I really started creating a local friendship circle
Yeah.
around games. So, friends of mine online who had gone to school, like, in the area and, you know, I knew them through friends, I knew them through playing other games, but I knew them primarily online,
Yeah.
found a meetup happening in New York City, and they were like, "Yo, we've been playing League together for a year. Let's all hang out at this meetup." I went, it was magical. I went every single meetup afterwards, and that's kind of how I started, like, considering just making social gatherings like something real and like repetitive and
Yeah.
like making it a moment. You know what I mean? Making it a recurring thing that a group could be built out of.
Yeah, see, that's very interesting because I've had similar experiences with that as well. Because I too grew up, really really poor down in like South Phoenix and everything like that. As my parents were
Mm.
artists establishing their career and building on it, holding on to that passion. And I think it's one of those things that we learn from an early age that no one's going to give us anything, so we have to fight for it and like work for it. That's probably why we find ourselves in these situations, be like, no one else is doing it, I'll do it. And then like, because it's just a weird trend, you know, so it's like pretty cool.
100%. No one else is doing it, so I'll do it is like practically my life story. Except for in this case, I would need to be real and say
Mhm.
that people who are already setting up these gatherings, people who are already setting up these social experiences around games, and I love
Yeah,
them, right? But then they burnt out. Not gonna lie, like in the case that led me to the viewing party series that I still run to this day, like for like the
yeah,
past 5 years, I think, League of Libations. The original owner was like, "Hey, there's too much going on in my life. I'm literally burning out. I can't do this
yeah,
anymore." And so when I messaged him, I was like, "Hey, do you have something planned for next year? I just like want to make sure, blah blah blah." And they were like, "Nah." I was like, well, what if I did it?" And they were like, "Okay, sure, go for it. Good luck." But I had to start from scratch,
yeah.
so it was a little bit daunting, but fun.
Speaking of that, like the daunting but fun stuff. Now, right now, you are like Wonder Woman. You move mountains and all that kind of stuff. You do all this amazing like ventures, and you find success and you thrive in a lot of this stuff. But I know that there were times where you stumbled, and there were times like anyone, you encountered some issues that you had to get over. Could you explain to us like a time where you had like you just took an L and you like learned from it? The last interview that I did, she goes like, "There's no such thing as loss. L stands for lesson." So like, what was a major lesson that you came across? Only that you
Yo,
can, yeah, that hard-earned wisdom.
that's bars. That's bars. I love that. I'm gonna save that forever. Whoever that was, who was that? Who said that in your last
Eliana
interview?
Murillo, yeah, she was
Amazing.
yeah,
Amazing. Much respect. Thank you. Thank you, Eliana, for that phrase because I will use it to the end of my life. I think so when was the time I took an L? I've taken so many L's. I've taken so many L's. Let's see. What's a good so there are different kinds of L's. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So like in events, I would say also in event marketing, just in general. Um, shit just blows up. Shit like explodes for like no reason. Like if
yeah,
Murphy's law, you know what I mean? It's gonna happen. So I will say that as I've one thing that I've really enjoyed about doing this as a career is that I've learned a lot of ways to set up contingencies. But
yeah,
anyway, point is, point being, um I think that a time I took an L. Here was a time that I took an L. Uh, But it wasn't alone. I tried we so NYC LOL, um, I wasn't always the head of it. Shout outs to Christina, one of the other, co-founders of Latinx in Games, or Latinx in Gaming, who is also one of the she's the founder of the Facebook group. We worked
yeah,
together for that. So we used to have a big mod squad. Like we would sit down and like try and plan a bunch of things. And this was all volunteer work, by the way. This was everything. Everyone did this with their own time,
yeah.
as shoestring budgets because we had no funding. Right? This was just a organized volunteer group,
Just
a
passion
organized
and yeah,
volunteer community. Yeah, just a bunch of people who just like to hang out, play League of Legends, and set shit up. So we had this plan to do this. What we called in League of Legends, there are different kinds of skins, right? And that's like the only thing you can buy with real money. Only thing you can buy with real money in League of Legends, right? These costumes. One of them is a line called Debonair, and it's all fancy dress. Like it's like the characters are wearing like white, like smoking jackets with like black lapels, and it's
yeah.
super like fancy, you know. And so what we thought, we were like, yo, what if we threw a gala? This is how ridiculous we were.
Oh,
What if we
really?
threw a crowdsourced gala, like an
Yeah,
end of the summer, like nerd prom,
yeah,
right? What if we just were like tried to throw prom for nerds and themed it just for NYC Law and like friends and family, obviously, and themed it around this debonair skin set, so everyone had to come in fancy dress. It was a beautiful idea. Everyone was super on board. It would be so fun to attend. And then we got to work. It was so much more expensive to do to even consider than we had even imagined.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like I think that the venue alone, and of course consider the fact that we had never done anything that cost anything until now. We'd just been kind of meeting up at different locations, striking up deals with different like friendly bar owners to let us watch esports on their TVs,
Yeah.
like nothing super serious. So we try to host this gala. We've got like 7 or 8 people on the case trying to do different things, but none of us have this kind of event management experience except for like 1 or 2 of us.
Yeah.
So we're kind of tripping over ourselves trying really hard to set this up and make it really nice. We throw it out to the public to say, "Hey, pitch in and help us do this." Everyone was super stoked on the idea, but nobody had any money to put it together.
Oh, yeah.
So we crowdsource this whole thing. We're stressed out about it. We don't make the cut. We don't make enough money to even book the venue,
Yeah.
right? Now, learnings. We had tons, right? Obviously, like, when you say the L is lessons, there are lots of things we could have done better. Um, from a project management planning perspective to a marketing perspective, how we spread the word and how we were all just a bunch of kids doing it ourselves. But I definitely I that as disappointing as it was, we got everyone back their money. We got really close. We had some people trying to kind of like we had a couple people step in and say, "Hey, I really want this to happen. So let me know how much it costs to make it happen." And and we eventually were like, "No, no, this needs to work the way it needs to work,
Yeah.
or else not enough people are gonna, or else it doesn't make sense to put
Hmm.
on." So I feel like at the end of the day, we did the right thing by not running the thing,
Yeah.
but it was still very disappointing. And that still to this, I still want to throw a nerd prom party. And to this day, that's kind of like one of the things that's on the bucket list of to-dos that I have to do before before it's all over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And taking a moment, someone in chat had asked, like, for a brief summary. So this wonderful person, this wonderful human being, is Jetset. So she is a voiceover artist. She's a part of Red Bull Gaming. She's one of the co-founders of Latinx in Gaming. She does amazing. Is there anything else I missed?
Let's see. NYC League of Legends, Latinx in Gaming. I used to shout outs to the leaderboard. I used to do voiceover for them, or I used to be a host for their videos and do
Yeah.
voiceover for them. Used to do voiceover for Tempo Storm's Hearthstone channel. Um, I think I've been in some commercials or something here and there, but
Dang, just
yep, I think
casually,
that's what
like,
people would know.
oh,
No, 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 not like
yeah.
commercial, not like
Yeah.
actual commercial, like Spotify commercials. Like, come
Yeah.
on, like it's not like
Still
the
valid.
stuff that you actually tune out. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
That's so cool. And then
It's all good though. But thank you.
yeah, and then going over from L's, let's go over to W's. So, what is a big win that you like appreciate so much, whether it be in the voiceover realm, whether it be in the event organization, or whether it be in the your professional career and all that kind of stuff? What was one of the most memorable successes or victories that you've achieved over your time, whether it be something small or massive?
Hmm. I think that I mean, not to be corny,
Mhm.
but I really do get a lot of value out of people enjoying themselves at things I helped set up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the more from every did you go to PAX South when we were there?
No, unfortunately.
Mm, it's all good. I think oh wait, you're West Coast, right?
Yeah, I'm over in Arizona. I one day want to go to PAX South when there's not a global pandemic, but
Right, understandable. There are so this past January, Latinx in Gaming was able to host some space. The PAX team was gracious enough to give us like the size of 2 of their panel theaters
wow, yeah.
um to just completely fill out full of Latinx stuff. So we had panels all throughout that weekend straight out of there that were just like featuring Latinx people, both talking about, their perspective and their experience as Latinx people in the gaming industry or wanting to break in or, the things that they're working on, but also just Latinx people being cool doing things. Like I remember specifically one of my favorite panels was someone describing the methodology of catching every single Pokemon like in across all games.
Yeah.
It was pretty incredible, that panel. But so I digress. So I think that overall, my favorite part, all the wins, every win that I've ever gotten, um, is it feels extra sweet when someone comes up to you and they're like, "This is dope." You know what I mean? There was one time where, if you want, like, a particular moment, I think that one time that was like a really reaffirming moment for
Hmm.
me was when Riot Games reached out to NYC League of Legends because they were going to host their first major event in Madison Square Garden in New York
Wow.
City.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had come to New York before. They've done a couple things in New York before, but that was the first time they were going to host like a big major esports event, and it was in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was hosting a viewing party, something like a 5-minute walk away. They reached out to me, and long story short, I became our party became the official pregame party and after party and viewing
Wow.
party for them. So, like, we got a lot of visibility from Riot,
Yeah.
and people from all over the world came, and that was really fun. The
Yeah.
place was packed with visitors, with cosplayers, locals, regulars. We had made
Yeah.
T-shirts at the time, and they were full of people wearing our logo and the shirt and that thing. And there was a camera crew because at the time they were doing this community showcase,
Yeah.
and they interviewed some of our members. And so it was so nice to finally feel like, like Big Daddy Riot looked at us, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they kind
Seriously.
of officialized
Senpai
us and made
noticed.
us feel very special. Exactly. Senpai noticed us. That's exactly what I was looking for.
Damn, dude, that's awesome. And then that's really cool. So, fast forwarding to today, could you describe your brand? Like, what are the things that you're doing currently? Because I am a loyal follower of your Twitch, and I love your Twitch streams. So, can you tell us what you do on your Twitch streams and what you have going on right now and all that kind of stuff?
Oh man. Okay. I think that for someone who is in marketing and for a while I did some social media management for some gaming like Twitter accounts,
Mm-hmm.
and I am one of the main drivers of the Latinos in Gaming
Mm-hmm.
Twitter account. So for someone who is because I do that so often for other people, I find it very difficult to do it for myself. But I would say that if I had a brand, like if I could identify myself as a brand, I try to be energetic. I try to be like inviting and welcoming, but I don't actually have a plan to make my Twitch or my personal brand
Yeah.
like self-sustaining. You know what I mean? So if I wanted to describe myself, like how I portray myself on the internet,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, you know, passionate about video games and esports, right? Any gaming competition, any high level gaming competition, I'm super about. Um and passionate about making spaces for people and
Yeah.
making spaces for people to enjoy gaming together. But when it comes to my own stuff, I just kind of leave it as an open forum.
Yeah.
I treat my Twitch channel as literally friends coming over to my house to game, you know? So, I think that while my audience is primarily just good friends of mine
Yeah.
and people from the community that happen to know what I do, um, I try to keep it lighthearted. I try to keep it casual.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, that's been the most satisfying for me, and so I think that translates, you know what I mean? When
Yeah.
people try to get super formal and fancy and overlays and, fancy animations, and
Yeah.
I think it almost even detracts from the true content, which is you playing the
Mm-hmm.
game. A lot of people think that the Twitch stream is about the game, it's about you know what I mean?
Personality.
So
Yeah. Exactly.
mhm, and not even just like, "Ooh, you have to have an explosive personality, you have to comment on everything, you have to be super clever and funny all the time."
Yeah.
I find the channels that I find most satisfying to watch personally are the ones where I can talk to you know what I mean? Where I can
Yeah.
talk to the streamer, I can enjoy the game that's being played, and I can sustain a conversation with the chat.
Yeah.
That's all I need, you know? That's why even if it's too produced, even if it's too, like, I don't know, glitzy,
Yeah.
I'm almost intimidated. So that's what I try to emulate with my own stuff to be like easy and breezy, casual, lighthearted, but earnest and passionate. I want that. I want the emotion to translate more than anything.
Yeah, some of the words I associate with Jetset is like authentic and like hardworking and just like all around good vibes and
Thank
everything. So
you.
it's super cool. Highly
I'm so
recommend you guys
glad I
follow
give up
her.
on
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, and then so you mentioned that you've played tabletop RPGs, and I've seen you personally play Vampire the Masquerade on stream, which is really cool. And I know you played Dungeons and Dragons before and all that kind of stuff. So could you tell us about your favorite? Just nerd out for a moment and tell us your favorite character out of all the characters you've ever played, and why they're your favorite.
Oh man. So that's a tough answer for me personally because I am a very much power fantasy player. I
Yeah.
will self-insert myself literally anywhere. So I would say that a lot of my characters are very similar. I would say that my favorite, let me try and think of one that stands out. I think my favorite character, um my favorite character that I've ever, like, made myself was probably this one. I barely got to play her, but there was this little so, do you know El Warius? He's a Spanish speaking, well, he's a Mexican, DM.
Mhm.
He speaks both English and Spanish, but he streams D&D primarily in Spanish.
Yeah.
He was actually at PAX South with us in January. He ran a one shot in a homebrew world that he has based on Mesoamerican myths
Yeah.
during PAX South. And I used to be a part of a regular game of his called Trece Albas.
Mhm.
There was, I think, not enough people to show up one day, and so he hosted a one shot in the same world, but like with a different, in a whole different part of the world.
Yeah.
And he invited one person, and it was me and one other person, and I made this gnome, and it's like a bit, I barely remember anything about, like, the unique class specifics
Yeah.
because it's all, like, unique and homebrew to his stuff, but I think I made an artificer
Yeah.
who had a little hummingbird, like a little mechanical hummingbird familiar.
Yeah.
And that was the coolest thing ever because we got into this cave and it was a really tall cave and I'm a gnome and I was in this like little like edge like cave, like this cavern that was really far away.
Yeah.
But I remember this moment where I got like my hummingbird to to like carry my like a spell I wanted to cast or
Yeah.
something. Um over, and it like succeeded, right? Like, so because I was in this little like inlet cave and like I was able to like extend my range with this little hummingbird.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm sure he rule of cooled it. I'm sure there were no freaking mechanics that allowed me to do this. But I like was able to cast a little lightning with like a little, or no, I was able to, sorry to get so specific. I know
You're
I'm
good. You're
getting
good. Go for it.
super long-winded. I remember it because it was such a cool moment. I was falling. I had gotten knocked off of that cave
Yeah.
by some like giant enemy that we were fighting. I was falling, and I was able to make my hummingbird familiar come to me from like somewhere else, be like kiss me on the forehead, and cast feather fall, so I didn't fall. And I thought that that was like the coolest
Wow.
thing I had ever done in the moment, even though it was such a small detail. I
Yeah.
was like, wow, that's the cutest visual. This little gnome floating to the floor with her little pet hummingbird. I'm complete. I love this.
Sold. Yeah.
It's the most fun I ever had, like, not being myself in a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's super cool. And then, like I said before, you've done so much in your career. Like, even if you don't count some of them as like your professional career, a lot of these victories are like life achievements for some people, or things that people wish they could do and all that. So you've just done them like left, right, and center. What advice would you give a young Jetset just coming into this realm of like event organizing and voice acting and all that sort of stuff?
I will say, so 2 things that I would say specifically to my younger self, because I personally have problems with this, and I'm sure you can relate, but, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask to potentially look stupid. Everyone that I've ever approached with a sincere question, with a sincere desire to learn and grow, has always respected it, no matter how stupid the question, you know? But the other thing I would also remember that is related to that, before I even say, work hard, blah, 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 um, you definitely would not have gotten the opportunities that you got young Jet Set. Sorry, reminder, I'm talking to myself here. I wouldn't have gotten the opportunities I got if I hadn't made really great friends. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? So yeah, I will definitely advise you work hard, stick to your passions, work at it a little at a time. If you want, just remember the goal, like what you're trying to do, because that always motivates you a little bit past the edge of like your attention span and your will, if you
Yeah,
keep your
that
eyes on the
North Star.
prize.
Yeah.
Mhm. But I will say, like, finally, like, at the very, very base of it, keep your eyes open to opportunities. Make sure you surround yourself with good people because they do come through. It all pays back. I believe in karma.
Yeah.
So, like, ultimately, it's just really about living your life, as positively as possible, trying to bring as much positivity to the world, and the people around you, and it comes back to you. I've been very lucky. I'm very grateful, especially, given the state we're all in, that I
Mm-hmm.
have the ability to work from home, grateful that I have um, the ability to sustain my family.
Yeah.
So I think, first of all, I think you're doing a great job um, talking to people and, helping them break this down, and sending this message, But I think that in terms of advice, definitely keep your eyes open to opportunities, keep good people around you, and do your best every single chance you can. Literally every waking moment.
Yeah.
Do the best. And if that's not your best necessarily, that's okay, Just show up. It's really big. It makes a world of difference.
That was such a genuine, like wholesome response. That's so good. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was absolutely not prepared. It was a little scrambly. Sorry about that, but I mean it. I mean it a lot.
Yeah.
Especially, I see so much talent in you and a lot of the people in the Latinx and gaming
Yeah.
community. So I really, really want to encourage you all to, you know, definitely pursue what you're looking for because you'll get it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then as a content creator, we and I feel like it's also a Latinx thing as well, where we just work so hard, like just burning the candle at both ends and everything like that. That eventually mental health becomes like an issue or a concern. So, what are the ways that you help to like manage your own self care, just to give yourself a break? Like, what are the either the techniques or example that you have that you keep your mind right?
It's funny that you mentioned that, honestly, because if you ask people who know me, I call them my friends, but they tell me that I have no social life because a majority of my life is spent on, if not my day job, one of my side projects, right? So perhaps I'm not the best example for this, but I have found solace in kind of making time for lighthearted, guilt-free fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think I have to yeah, I have to, like, sit back and give myself the space to have that guilt-free fun.
Yeah.
And, like, for League of Legends, for example, this is a good example, because I love League of Legends for multiple reasons. I love having fun with my friends, I love tryharding and getting good at the game,
Yeah.
and I love all the work I do around it, right? I get so sick of it sometimes, right, that I can't even play for fun, right? Don't force it.
Yeah.
Don't, and if you find yourself getting irritated, um, you just step back because you're losing your North Star, as you mentioned
Yeah.
before. As we mentioned, you're losing track of what you're looking for. You need to give yourself time to relax so that you can stay motivated, so that you can still have that memory fresh in your mind.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. Give yourself license and time to have fun. And if you
Yeah.
can't do all the things you wanna do as quickly as you wanna do them, I mean, it better to save your sanity, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like that quote where it's like, if you don't, what was it? If you don't take time for your health, then you're gonna have to make time for your illness or whatever. And that's the same thing with like mental health
Facts.
too. Yeah, because
Yeah.
oof. But yeah, and then okay, this was really awesome, and I really appreciate talking with you. Could you tell us where we can find you online and what projects you have coming up or things we should support?
Yeah, no doubt. So, I am Jetset on the internet. Judy is my first name. Feel free to call me that whenever you want. We're all friends now. Everyone listening to this, we're buddies. So, twitter.com/jetset_. But you can find me also at twitter.com/latinosingaming, latinxingaming.com. On Facebook, if you're in the tri-state area, head on over to NYC League of Legends and join us. We play a lot and we talk a lot. So, but I guess in general, any new projects coming up, I would say just be on the lookout for new stuff in 2021 for Latinx in gaming, because we have a lot planned. And I think also, I guess, tune in on stream if you want to just chill out and play some games. That's usually when I'm having my unapologetic fun time.
Yeah.
So it's really just going to be shenanigans. So twitch.tv/Jetset for that.
Yeah. Well, thank you again so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. And make sure to follow her. She's amazing in every single way. And yeah, I hope you have a good night. Thank you again, Jetset.
Thank you, you as well.
Bye.
Have a good night.